in real time, all of this stuff to get clients. So if you guys would start out, starting with Kelsey, all I want to know is your name, how long you've been in real estate, and give me a ballpark. What percentage of your business is currently coming from all social media?
Sure. So my name is Kelsey Donovan, or at Kelsey Sells Scottsdale on all platforms. And 70% of my business comes from social media. My main platform is Instagram, and I've been working in the industry for 10 years, full-time solo real estate agent for about 6.
Hi guys, I'm Stephanie Lugo. 10 years in real estate as a husband and wife duo. I'm the wife, and I'm the one who's mostly on social media. So we built our business off of social media. So for a long time, it was like 70-80% from Instagram, and now we've taken such good care of those clients that we get to enjoy a lot more referral business from that, which is kind of like the sweet spot. Today, maybe 30 to 40% organic from social media.
Hi everyone, my name is Luke Correcchia. I've been in real estate about 6 years now, and I'd say about 30. It's hard to really get a good understanding of exactly, like percentage-wise, how many followers convert into actually clients and people on social media. But I'd say probably about 30 to 40%, and averaging about 1 deal a month from social media.
Hey guys, my name is John Doring, and I've been a realtor since 2014, so about 11 years. I'd say 100% of new business comes from social media, and after that is obviously referrals coming back from old customers. Mostly Facebook, but quite a bit of YouTube, little tiny bit of Instagram, but that's the main thing.
Wonderful, and everyone's social handles are behind them on the whiteboard, so I encourage you all to give them a follow so you can kind of check out the content that they post that's working so great for them. Quick note, Stephanie has a baby with a birthday today. And so she's going to need to leave promptly at 12:15, so we'll open it up to some Q&A at that time. However, the panelist has graciously agreed to, if you have a question during something, you can go ahead and raise your hand and ask it as well. Okay, so let's just dive right in, and I'm dying to know the answers to these questions as well. Okay, we'll start with Kelsey. How did you decide which social media platforms you were going to use and why?
So that's a really good question. When I first started, the realtor influencer wasn't really a thing, or if it was, I didn't know about it. But I was following all of these women, all of these influencers on Instagram who were sharing like Target outfits and Amazon dupes, and I was buying them. And I knew, if I'm buying from these women, why can't I just copy paste the same thing into real estate and people would buy from me? And they did.
Stephanie?
Yeah, kind of the same. Back in 2015, when I got into the business, I didn't have anybody, I didn't know anybody, I didn't have a big database coming into real estate. And so Instagram was really the big thing happening at the time. And I saw a friend who was in photography at the time just absolutely exploding their business. And there was like service-based provider, I can totally do that too. And just stuck with it. It was really hard at first, but just kept up with it.
For me, it's really figuring out who I'm trying to speak with. So like, I know on Instagram, I got really kind of a targeted audience there. So I try to really focus on Instagram, but depending on the platform is kind of dependent on that audience I'm trying to kind of reach. So I've been doing Facebook groups for like a lot of the investment stuff, because it's a little bit more community based versus just like commenting on someone's post or something. And then Instagram's really just been more like on the personal expertise side, and the also like professional, really just trying to maintain an image on Instagram and then leverage Facebook to complement that.
Yeah, so I'm old as dirt, right? So I'm on Facebook. That's kind of where it started out at, and then the rest came from there. But Facebook is the main platform. It was more about building community than it was me. So I really don't promote myself very much at all, but mostly it's kind of like community building, which brings into business.
John, share with them a rough estimate of how many people are in your combined social media pages.
About 1 million.
Yeah, so
Well,
we'll let him be.
Can I ask one question? What are your backgrounds?
So I kind of started working in real estate almost right out of college. I worked in finance for 6 months and then started working in real estate, and the rest is history.
Same, almost exactly, yeah.
Me, really like sales. Like I was in door-to-door sales for a little while, so kind of cut my teeth there, and then business, and then real estate for me.
I owned an advertising agency in Detroit for about 20 years, then sold that and went into real estate.
In prison?
That was two. That was just 2 years, maybe. And it was county, so.
Okay, I think this is a really important question. I was in a broker seminar on Monday, and one of the big topics was how about consumers want to follow you, but they want more than ever to be able to trust you, right? And that is like the new thing is they don't just want to see that you say this or that, you're great at something, but they want to be able to really believe you. Obviously, you guys have cultivated that in some way, shape, or form. So let's start with John on that and just kind of give us your take on that.
So like I said, I took a little different approach, right? So I built communities, and that's what I continue to do. And so that kind of, the purpose of that is to get the community involved. So you get engagement across the board from, hundreds of thousands of people that live in Scottsdale or Tempe or Phoenix or whatever. And as you continue to engage those people and drive the conversations and enforce the conversations, you just kind of get recognized as, like the digital mayor or whatever you want to call it of the area. And that gives kind of the respect, the support, the level of trust to you from being that engaged in a community that big. So I don't really approach it for myself as much as, providing a platform for others in the community is.
I think for me, it's really like, depending on what platform you're on, I think it really comes down to just making sure that you're actually who you actually are. Like I see a lot of people on social media, they're like, done up to the nines, everything is so clean and polished, and they're trying to maintain a certain image, but we all know that's not really who you are. You're not that person every single time. So being able to kind of organically go through and not just do like a talking head video, but actually do a video of like you in the real life moment, right? And it may not be perfect. Your hair might be a little messed up. This might be a little messed up. But I think over time that cultivates trust. And I think now more than ever, people want to follow people that are authentic, whether they like you or they don't, right? At the end of the day, why are we all here in this room? It's because we all want attention on social media. That's really what it comes down to, in my opinion.
So when I was starting my business and using Instagram to help me meet people, I recognized that I had to get people off of the app, right? Like, it's great to have relationships and like have friendships on social media, and truly that's literally how we built our database. But the really important part of that is engaging with them and having conversations that you can then move to real life. And so one thing that I think of is far more important than like content or how you're showing up or whatever is like, how are you actually engaging with people? So even more so than the content that I'm creating, I'm focusing a lot on the DMs that I'm sending, the conversations, the voice notes, the likes, the comments. Actually engaging with people and using social media as a networking tool is really where the power is at for me.
I'm building trust by sharing stories, like not just coming on and saying, hey, I'm this great real estate agent, but I'm going to share, hey, this is what happened yesterday with my client. So then you're actually sharing stories that gets people way more excited. It feels way more impactful. And to echo what so many people say is the authenticity, right? Like just this morning I came on and I talked just woke up. I had gone to Starbucks like in my pajamas, not even brushed my hair, and somebody came up to me and they were like, is your name Kelsey? I recognize you from one of your signs. And I was like, yeah. And it's kind of embarrassing, let's be honest. And so what did I do? I pulled out looking like hell and pulled out my phone and was like, this is what just happened. Isn't that so funny? I'm so embarrassed. And so just kind of keeping that authenticity and really trying to be a real person.
Mm-hmm. So what Stephanie said was really interesting because your engagement outside of just posting and stuff like that was pretty much Chelsea's entire point with her presentation. So it's pretty fascinating because I want everyone to leave with things they can start doing today. Give us an example of how you do that. How do you pick who to try to engage with?
Okay, so I coach real estate agents across the US and Canada doing this. We have what we call the 10-10-5 method, and Chelsea may have touched on something similar to this because And one thing that she says that I absolutely love is one thing I learned from her: comments are content too. Did she say that today?
Yeah, she did, and she was very passionate about DMs.
I love that. Okay, so we do a combination, and for me, I need a number. Like, I need to know what I'm tracking. And so our rule is 10, 10, 5. So every day we interact with 10 people in the stories and the DMs, and we're searching for a database. Like, we're searching for past clients, friends, family, people who refer us. We're looking for 10 people in the stories to interact with. And you might also include referral real estate agents, by the way, in other areas that you have a good relationship with, who might be able to like send business your way back and forth. So don't discount those referral relationships with agents on social media too. 10 stories across the top, 10 comments down the feed, and again, prioritizing past clients. You should be following your clients, your friends, your family on social media and engaging with them there. A good comment, in my opinion, is like 4 or 5 words or more. That's actually something that you would say in real life, not just emojis. And then we also do 5 new people a day. So we go into the Explore tab, we search Phoenix moms or whatever niche we're trying to get into, and then we are engaging with 5 new people a day. 10, 10, 5, it takes 20 minutes a day.
Well, out of curiosity, are you ever ignored? Are you ever met with? Okay,
Yeah.
And how do you handle that?
I don't know, whatever.
Okay.
I'm trying to get 10 conversations from that.
Okay.
If I can leave with 10 conversations, then awesome. But I don't take it personally.
Okay.
People are busy.
I've been working with real estate agents for 15 years, and I know rejection is our favorite word, right? It is like everyone's terrified of it, but it's who cares? Move on to the next, right? So thank you for that. Because I'm also trying to get everyone to leave with something that they can, really implement today. And I know personally speaking, it rings true with me. Kelsey, how do you get over posting a video without your makeup on, or getting over that? Casey and I were just talking about this, like the sound of my own voice, like, oh, why doesn't anyone like me at all? How do you get over that?
I'm gonna be super honest, when you start making money from it. At first I was like, ooh, and I hated it, and then it started working, and I don't care at all.
Luke, how did you get over it?
I'm in the same boat. I think the money definitely helps. The other main thing is just losing the attachment to the result. I feel like a lot of people are so attached to the result of like, this post has this many likes or this many comments, but I think it really comes down to just being authentically you and just capturing it. Like, I always try to think of like I'm documenting my day versus like I'm creating content. Like, I'm just documenting what I'm already doing versus trying to be like some influencer all the time.
That's a great thought. Everyone should be writing that down. Documenting your day rather than overthinking content. And I know Stephanie has a lot more to say about that, which I will pry out of her before this is over. John, how did you get over it?
Again, I'm just old, right? So I just literally don't care. So
You're past the needing for approval phase.
100%.
Okay, perfect. How often are people finding you at this point, and how did you make that turn? I know you're never going to stop trying to increase and do the 10, 10, 5 and stuff like that, but how do you think it is that people are starting to find you, Luke?
I mean, I think collaborations are huge. Like, I think more people should be, especially on Instagram. Like, if Instagram is your platform, like, you should be collaborating with other people. Instagram added the new collab feature, and I think that's really good for organic growth. It allows your post to basically go on their feed and vice versa. So I think that's really important. The other thing is just, the engagement is great. I'm not a huge fan of the cold DM. But I think you're really focused in on authentic relationships in real life and then transitioning those to digital. And I think a lot of times we get focused on going from digital to real life, which is great. And it's easier to do at scale. But if your content's not reaching people, if you're not gathering it, if you're not getting that attention, it's difficult to transition those people. So I think it's really just focusing in on collaborations and that documenting process, and then doing it in real life too.
Okay. All right, I love that. Something that Chelsea pointed out as well, which I think is really, really true, is people want to know who you are. Great, you're a good real estate agent. That's awesome. But what are your hobbies? What is your family like? Things like that. how often are you mixing that in to kind of keep people roped in and interested?
So a lot of that happens for me on stories. So every single day I try to do your work, your face, your life. And your life could be like what your dog is doing, your life could be what you had for dinner, your life could be like your partner doing something, it could be whatever it is, right? So I'm trying to loop people in like that. And just trying to make those connections. I'm a super open book online. I will talk about almost everything as long as it involves me and not, somebody else, right? And that really opens up conversations with a lot of people that end up feeling that connection. It's
So you
been
do
awesome.
all 3 every day?
Yep.
Okay.
On stories.
Okay, stories.
Yeah, on stories, it's your face, your life, your work.
Okay. What about you, Stephanie? What do you coach on that?
Yeah, same. I think stories are a great way to do that, which is why you want to be following people and engaging people. So the question is, how are we going to get people to the stories so that they can see us there? Right? The more you are engaging with people organically, the more your stories are going to be suggested at the top of the line. So people are more likely to see every time you update your stories. And then what are they seeing? If they're just seeing the same repeat, like sold, here's a listing, whatever, then they're not going to be able to really learn more about you. But one thing that we had to figure out early on was like, who are we actually trying to reach? Who's our ideal client, and what are they into? What cycle, like phase in the cycle of home ownership are they in, and how can we relate to them there? And for us, a lot of people who we were working with and attracting by social media was kind of where we were at early on. It was first-time homeowners, like just in that younger millennial space, newer professionals, and now it's very much like seasoned professionals, older millennials who are selling their first home and buying a new one. So they want to see us kind of living a lot of the same reality that they are. Like, where are we taking the kids to? What are we spending our time doing on the weekends? Or what type of home and lifestyle are we enjoying that they may want to upgrade into down the line? So just kind of thinking of what those things are and just tying it into the day-to-day.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with both of them. I think that the main thing is like that connection between your posts, your reels, and then to the story. I feel like you got to really kind of dial into what you're trying to, like how are you trying to be perceived? Whether if it's a story, at least for me, it's less edited. I'm not posting like the graphics, like usually they're just sold. I'm really just more or less focused on how can I connect, like what problem am I facing right now? How am I overcoming that? How can I share that so my audience, whether it's agents or homeowners, home buyers, how are they able to learn something through it? And I think valuetainment is another big thing that is being talked about a lot right now. And essentially valuetainment is exactly that. It's getting some sort of value and entertainment. And like for me, it's hard for me to watch mindless TV. Like I usually want to try to be learning something, so I've kind of doubled down on that strategy of like really trying to make the content valuable but also entertaining.
So I try to keep it really simple, right? So I think these guys are way more intelligent than I am because they're doing a lot of cool stuff with analytics and looking at it and everything else. I try to get people off the computer and in person. So we do a lot of events, whether it's happy hours or coffee things, expos, festivals. We've got a Kentucky Derby party coming up. So I really try to get the people to come out and meet them in person, and that kind of is the best for me.
How do you get them out?
Pay for drinks. Yeah.
Okay.
For the most part, food, drinks,
Yeah.
right? I mean, why are you guys here, right? You're gonna eat.
That's a perk of being here.
I have a question. I noticed on your Instagram is discusstheLiving.com, and you don't have the My Home Group logo. And on the other class last week, they emphasized that you had to have the logo on every post that you do.
Yeah, so Scottsdale Living is its own entity, and it is not a real estate entity. So it's a not-for-profit in the state of Arizona. It's a 501c3. So across all platforms of Scottsdale Living, which is its own freestanding entity that I own. So when I promote myself, absolutely, all the stuff's on there needs to be on there. But as for that, it's its own freestanding entity.
That's very
Going back to something that you guys mentioned a moment ago, when you were first starting, my guess is that you weren't super intentional about your client avatar, right? So your ideal client, like who's that going to be? how did you identify that for yourself? Like, if they don't know, well, who is my ideal client, or who am I going to start to try to, get to follow and stuff like that? Where do they start, Chelsea?
I kind of leaned into what was already working. And I think we tend to attract people that are like us, right? That's kind of the easiest target. And so as I've moved and grown in life and my career, that person has kind of changed, just like you mentioned. So really when I first started, my ideal client was who was organically attracted to me. Why not make it easier, right?
Mm-hmm. Stephanie?
So I was very intentional with who I was, with not who I was trying to attract, but just trying to choose someone. Because on social media, if you're not speaking directly to a person, you're just shouting into the masses and your voice is going to get lost. There's too much noise on there. But again, yeah, knowing what's already working for you. But that's not to say that you can't pivot, right? So like down the line, if you find, I really prefer new construction and there's so much new construction opportunity, that's what I want to lean into, you can pivot to that anytime. And so all agents might have a slightly different ideal client or a property type that they want to specialize in, and I think just starting there.
For me, it's been the SOI, right? Going into your SOI, figuring out who's already in your database, who are you already connected with, what type of individual is that, and then categorize those people. So, like on my team, we have 100 SOI contacts minimum, and then from there we break that down into, okay, what generation are they in? What are their likes and interests? And then figuring out, hey, how can I translate that? Because there's other people out there that match your same SOI profile of past clients, and those are going to be the people that are probably seeing those other people, your past clients and current clients, in the content too. So just really focusing in on what's already working, and then trying to build a digital avatar of that person, and then tweaking that as your audience grows. Because I feel like you can try to speak to one person, but if these people over here are resonating more, then it may warrant you to kind of shift towards that new avatar.
So I was 100% intentional, right? Because I'm a little lazy and I'm a little greedy. So how can I make the most money selling the leased houses? Well, that's expensive houses, and that's Scottsdale, so that's what I did.
That's awesome. I'm going to operate under the assumption that the majority of us have, at minimum, a Facebook and an Instagram. Okay, so if that's the case, is there any kind of version of those platforms they should be on as a professional that really wants to increase their following? Stephanie?
So you want to have a professional account on Instagram. Actually, I'm just going to back up. It doesn't matter, but make it public. If you're private right now, like what are you doing? So public, so it's public visibility, anybody can see it. And then if you want to kind of get in the weeds, you're going to change it to a professional creator account. The only reason for that is because it gives you just better access to analytics, like insights, and also better music choices as far as the professional accounts go. If you don't know how to do it, you will Google it, because it is different depending on the phone or the updated version of the app you have. So it's not as simple as me saying go to the settings, go here, just Google it for your phone.
That's actually really good advice. Yeah. Does anyone have anything different than that they would recommend?
Yeah, I mean, I would throw in, so like, I love YouTube, right? Because it's the #2 search engine in the world. So long form and short form content on video is huge across the board. YouTube loves to promote it and push it. So if you come up with, an SEO list of keywords that pertain to what you want to do and who you want to sell, incorporate that into all your video, because YouTube's transcribing the whole thing anyways. So forget the hashtags, because they don't really care anymore. They're going to transcribe the whole video, and make sure you're hitting all those keywords in your short form and long form content. Podcasting is a great way to do it. Take all the shorts using AI from your podcast. It's really simple, it's quick, it's easy. And I mean, I'm just in love with YouTube right now.
I agree on that. I think short form right now, long form content chopped into
Can I
short
stop
form.
and can you just explain the difference between the two? Sorry. Short form and long form.
Yeah, I mean, I would consider anything long form more than 90 seconds.
Okay.
So if it's less than 90 seconds, it would be short form. If it's more than 90 seconds, it would be long form content. I think long form, like podcasts chopped into reels, like you were saying, is great. Especially because you're able to edit those usually in a way that you can really get really intentional about the way that the video is edited, in terms of like the first 5 seconds, the first 2 seconds, and going through each second of that video to understand where your retention drops off. Most of the times it's right around the 5 to 6 second mark. At least for my audience, they have pretty short attention span. So we're trying to kind of cater to that, but I agree. I think long form and a mix of short form is great.
Stephanie, do you have thoughts on that?
Whatever you can handle. If you hate your face on video, then do a podcast or just do pictures. If you don't mind doing video, but you don't have a long attention span to create long form video, do short term. I would say if you're starting out and trying to figure it out, just kind of try a bunch of different things and allow yourself to be creative with it, and then just lean into whatever feels the best.
Okay. Kelsey, do you need fancy video equipment, microphones, all that kind of stuff to get started?
No way. I occasionally use that nowadays, specifically for like marketing listings directly. But usually I literally will take my water bottle and I will set my phone up against my water bottle, and that's how my video is taken on my iPhone, and that's it. And I just fit it into my life, and I fit it in like, if a client is late, I might do that. If I'm waiting for the photographer to arrive after the videographer, I might do that. So I just fit it in where I can.
Okay. And I'll start with John on this. Do you have a specified day or days that you set aside? Because we both know social media can take over our lives and it doesn't always make us money, right? And as a real estate agent, there's a lot of things we need to do to be productive all week long. How do you manage being able to do it consistently, but not spending too much time to where it's just not productive?
So like for most of my social media, I don't really run it, right? So there's a group of moderators that are all small business owners, so there's about 25 of them, and they run all the platforms. And obviously they get benefit out of it because they're small business owners, right? So if somebody wants insurance one gets it, whatever. But we all promote each other internally. For me, going back to the video thing, you absolutely don't need the greatest equipment, right? But it really is fun if you have really cool shit. So, so we shoot podcasts on Wednesday and Thursday, and we bring in community members, city council members, the mayor, just really cool, interesting people, people that own businesses in town or that are neat, and so we shoot Wednesdays and Thursdays, and then we release those like every 4 or 5 days.
Cool. Luke, how do you manage it?
I used to have a media bank, I called it. So the media bank essentially was a way for me to stay consistent with the content. Everyone always says, oh, be consistent on social media, but let's be real, like stuff happens. Like you're not always going to be able to shoot a video or capture that content. So the media banks worked out really well. I kind of made a pivot more recently to just go really more documenting versus trying to create and put it in this bank and pull it out. I just found that it was too overproduced. And to kind of touch on the video side, I think IRL live streaming. Who here has heard of that? Has anyone heard of IRL live streaming? Okay, not a lot of people. IRL live streaming, so IRL is in real life live streaming. So like Twitch and some of these other platforms, Instagram, it's becoming bigger. TikTok, it's huge. They're doing a lot of think like QVC, but live shopping. So I think like just organic iPhone, even if it's live, if you go live, I think that's a huge untapped area right now. If you're trying to get started, or you're like, man, I want to try to do something maybe a little outside of the box, like going live an hour a day at 10 a.m. and just walking people through what you're doing. And make it fun, I think, is a big opportunity.
Interesting. Kelsey, do you have any thoughts on that?
I would agree. As I said, I just fit it into my life. Like social media is not taking over my life because it has just become organically part of it. So although I do sometimes do batch content creation, I would say 90% of my content is what I mentioned with the water bottle, or like, hey, I'm on my way here, or just taking a picture of what I'm doing at the time, which you're already doing it anyway, so you might as well document it.
A question for the ladies as far as like safety goes with posting, or if you're doing like an open house, like,
Yeah.
have you guys run into anything like that?
Totally. Yes, absolutely. So I usually bring somebody with me to open houses, specifically my husband. I make sure that he is super prevalent on my social media as well. My husband used to travel for work. Thank God he doesn't anymore, but he did for 6.5 years of our relationship for 3 weeks a month, and that was never once shared on social media. So just keep in mind what you're sharing, and then maybe sharing what you, where you are after you've left, right? I do a lot of that. So share that you were there after you've left. Another thing that you can do is you can utilize ManyChat, which is an incredible tool. ManyChat.com is like amazing. But what you can do in that way is you can put on a story or on a post like, hey, I'm having an open house Saturday from 11 to 1. Comment the word Scottsdale and I'll send you the address. So that way, at least there's a barrier and you know who has asked for that address.
Yeah, those are really good tips. I would just emphasize, if you're posting in real time, if you're at a public space, don't post in the moment when you're there. Don't tag your location when you're there as much as possible. And then the other thing that we've kind of changed over time is we don't share any information of our children, and we don't share our children's face or voice anymore. And I know that's kind of tough because then you're like, well, what else? I want to share my family, I want to share this, but on our public profiles, we don't really share any of that. We do have a close friends list on Instagram where you can selectively choose who sees what content that you post, and so anything more personal like that, we share that. But that's been a really big change that I've made in the last year or so. I'm just much more private in what we're sharing, and there's personal versus private. I can keep it personal. I can make sure to keep like personal interests and like what's fun, while maintaining the safety of my family.
Chelsea touched on that too, personal versus private. Luke, what are your thoughts on that, Luke?
Regarding safety, I mean, I think it really just, it kind of comes down to what they were saying. I mean, it's a scary world, right? So you got to always kind of keep an eye out. But I think in terms of privacy, I mean, at least for me, it's hard to be like a private but public person. Like at a certain point, I really like what Chelsea said. It was, I think she broke it down of like, you're keeping your private and your business separate. You're not keeping your family and your business separate, or however she mentioned that. It resonated with me, and I think it's just, be staying diligently. Geez, I can't talk. But staying like really focused in on your surroundings, I think is huge. And at least just quick story on that. I heard of the agent here in, I think it was Phoenix or Scottsdale, or maybe it was Tucson, that had an incident. It was a Tucson? And and it was, and I don't know if that was through social media, that incident, but I remember seeing it, and everyone in the community, in the like Arizona real estate community, all rallied around her, shared her posts, and like really helped her out. So I think just reminding yourself that you have a community of other agents too, that'll be happy to help you out.
Security question?
I'm not worried about that with you, I don't
Cool.
think. I don't think anyone's going to mess with John. I just have to
Yeah, I mean, so on the flip side though, like my wife's a realtor, right?
Yeah.
So we're just packing. I mean,
Yeah.
I was gonna say that.
More and more common.
I was
Yeah.
Just say it,
Yeah. And I really do like the idea of delayed posting too. I don't remember which one of you mentioned it. I like that. So I was in an open house. I'm not here currently as we speak. I hadn't thought of that, so that's pretty cool. Starting with John, you mentioned something. You said hashtags aren't working anymore. Well, my mind was blown. Like that's how old I guess I am. So, do we need to worry about hashtags? Do we need to,
So I'm not like the Instagram expert or TikTok, right? So I don't really know how it works on that end. I assume it's similar though, right? So if you look at Google, which basically drives everything at the end of the day, so Google could care less what you're hashtagging. So if it's video, they're transcribing it, and that's going to lead way, way harder than any hashtag you put in. So I think any kind of video content, you really want to make sure that you've got some type of SEO, and I don't know if you guys know what that is. So search engine optimization. So you should have a set of keywords that pertain to what your business is and who your avatar is, and that should be in your video because they're transcribing the whole thing, and what you say is what they're doing the searches based off of, not necessarily what you put into the remarks.
Okay. Do you need to be saying it more than once in the same video?
Yeah, as much as you can. You want to integrate it organically because obviously the
Yeah.
end user sees it, and if you're just saying, John, so buy a house, buy a house. But I mean, you can test it out, right? So if you got a YouTube channel, just create a YouTube video that has absolutely no remarks and just say like, I don't know, say marijuana over and over and over, right? And people are going to come to that video, you know, it just, that's what it is.
They're becoming an asshole.
Yeah, exactly. That's with like writing nothing. You write nothing on there. They're gonna feed it right up, you know.
For me, I've never been a huge fan of the hashtags. Early on, I feel like they really mattered, but now I just kind of echoing what John said. I think it's really about the keywords, and please focus on the first 10 seconds of your video. It's the most important piece. Like, if people aren't going to see the first, you know, they're going to swipe, and that's the whole, you know, you got to retain that attention. So I think just focusing in on those keywords and the first 10 seconds are going to lead to that traffic you're looking for.
Can I illustrate my interpretation of that? Of the hook? Because I bet you have your way, but like just so everybody understands, this is an example of a really bad way to start your video. Hey, how's it going? It's Tuesday, and I'm Stephanie Lugo, and I'm here at my home group real estate. Like, no. Like you want to like skip ahead to the point, right? Like, would you agree?
Oh, 100%.
I feel like examples are really important.
Yeah, no,
because it's so important.
I absolutely agree, and please, you know, if you're at a house and you're like, hey, welcome to 123 Main Street. I'm out. Like, I'm out. Like, show me the swim up bar, right? Like, show me that.
Instead, you guys want to see what $50,000 looks like in a pool,
Yeah.
right? Like that's what you want to switch to a little bit. So sorry.
No.
That's going to be way more impactful than hashtags. And the reason hashtags were important was because there wasn't the same algorithm. So back before, when you were navigating these platforms, whether it was YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, you would have to find yourself the content that you wanted to see. But now these algorithms deliver content based off of your interests and the way that you're already organically using the app. And so because of that, like hashtags are not used in the same way. They can be helpful, but that's specifically what changed and why we don't use hashtags in the same way.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Starting with Kelsey, this is probably not the most simple question, but how have you seen social media change? Like, do you have to post a certain video to this page versus this platform? How are you doing it? Or is it just the same one to all of them?
So I think that the best way to do this is what you can do, because consistency is key, right? If I personally post almost all the same content on all of my platforms, and that is not the best way to do it, but I am not a full-time content creator. So what I'm able to do from a timing perspective and from a sanity perspective is make content that does well on Instagram, and it does okay on Facebook, it does decent on TikTok, it doesn't do well on YouTube. But I'm putting out the content, and that's what I'm able to do. So don't try to focus too much on shifting things, but if I were going to, right, like if I had that time, I have found that the like 7-second video with a hook over it with like the caption at the bottom that I'm sure everybody has seen does well on Instagram, does not do well on TikTok. But if you have your face on TikTok, if you're like a little crass on TikTok, that works. But that's not going to go well over Facebook.
Grandma's gonna have a problem. I think that's the most important key is understanding the season of life that you're in. And so back when I was like, we got a business to run, we got to get this started, we got to meet people, we need clients, how are we going to do this? It was single-minded focus on social media, and every detail mattered. So there was a lot of time spent batching content and learning new features and understanding the platforms that we were on. And that was a very much like a growth season. And so ask yourself, like, what season are you in? Are you in the season where this is something that you feel is important but is not going to take over your entire business? Then if so, take what you can, don't feel bad about it. Unapologetically stay consistent with what feels good to you. But if this is a season where you're like, I want to be the next, whatever, I want to be huge, I have the goals, then you are going to lean into it and take all these a lot more seriously. But it doesn't even so much matter who you're seeing or trying to emulate on social media. If they're not in the same season, then it's not going to translate well to you.
Yeah, I agree with that. Taking the question a little differently, I think the question too is also figuring out what it is that you are good at, right? So like, I know for some people they try to make videos for Instagram, videos for TikTok, and time-wise they may be spread thin, so then they just start posting to all, they start doing a video for one platform and then posting it on all the platforms, when in reality that person may be a better script writer or copywriter, right? Mm-hmm. So versus creating a video, it could be a picture of a house with a really compelling caption, and that could convert at a higher rate than you on video, right? So just trying to understand what it is that, more than the platform, trying to understand really what you're good at, whether it's video, whether it's captions, whether it's LinkedIn articles about real estate and how to do fix and flips, whatever that looks like for you. Figure out what it is you're good at, and then start looking for the platform that complements that. Like if you're a good script writer and you can write great articles, you're probably going to want to post on LinkedIn. And your videos, you could create them and post them to Instagram, but they're probably not the best ROI on your time.
There's so much to talk about. How long do you give it? How long do you need to do the trial and error? How long is that forever?
That's the wrong question. That's the wrong question.
Then ask the right one.
How do you stay consistent until you see results?
How long?
Stay consistent.
So if they start trying, and let's say it's 60 days from now, and they're like, crap, I haven't gotten a lead, and I'm doing the 10-10-5, and now I'm discouraged. Well, that doesn't work. I've been working with realtors for a very long time in sales.
Yeah.
Open houses don't work, right? Yeah. And so it's like, what's a good college try for how long before they know, like, man, I'm not good at this, or?
I think that if you're not seeing, you have to be tracking your metrics, okay? And by metrics, I'm not saying followers and likes, although that can be a helpful indicator of what's working. Are you making an appointment a week? Just keep trying different stuff until you start setting an appointment a week. If you set your first appointment, figure out what led to that, and then just do more of it. How can you stay consistent? And consistency does not have to mean doing the exact same thing over and over again with no results. It means maybe tweaking it and trying something a little bit different, but you're consistently showing up until you start to see the metric that you're looking for, like an appointment a week. And if you're setting an appointment a week, you'll be closing a deal or two a month from Instagram or whatever social media you're on.
That's great.
Sorry, I'm really opinionated. So because what if the rule of thumb is 6 months? And you spend 6 months and then you give up, and 30 days later you would have been absolutely bombarded with, who cares how long it takes?
Well, and that's what I'm trying to do is establish a reasonable expectation. Some of you might pop in a week, and some of you might not, but that doesn't mean because it popped for someone in a week and it didn't for you, you should stop.
But because of that, we don't put a timeline on it. It's not predictable. We focus on what we can control.
So it's just forever and ever and ever.
If you want it to be a lead source,
yeah.
If you don't want it to be a lead source, be consistent forever and ever and ever on something else.
Yeah. So, John, how do you deal, at first, go back, how did you deal when you would post something and it wouldn't get a like, or get like one like? How did I? Get all of their takes.
That's the answer. I didn't care, right? But to circle back to the last question, if I can, real quick.
Yeah.
So the progression of social media and the changes, right? If I was starting out today, day one, I honestly would probably not really care what platform I was picking, but I would be way into AI. So
yes, and that's going to be my next
question. I would.
So go ahead. Yeah.
I would master ChatGPT, Opus Clips, every piece of AI that you can use in your business, because one, it's going to save you a ton of time, and two, it's just way friggin' better than you are, right? Mm-hmm. So if you master prompting in ChatGPT, what you get out of it is going to be better than anything you can ever create. And it's going to be the same with clips, right? So we use Opus Clips for all of our shorts. Opus Clips knows what Google wants, right? I mean, so I don't, but it'll come back. You put a 30-minute podcast in Opus Clips, and it's going to come back with 25 shorts, and it's going to rank them and say, this is a 98%, this is a 12, right? It just knows. I have no clue. So that's the power of AI across the board, and it's integrated in every piece of social media, all of it, right? So if you don't know it, you're going to get smoked, because in a year or 2 years, it's going to control all of it, you know? So that's the thing I would
Opus
look at.
Clips. How do you spell
That's just one. OPUS Clips is
OPUS.
one. You know, obviously ChatGPT. There's 50
yeah.
different things out there, right? But yeah, I mean, so I would get really, really good at that because it's just way better than we are. It just is.
Luke, how about you? How much are you using AI? How much are you
AI has been a huge part. Like, I think AI is something I 100% agree. I think in 2 years you're either going to be a business without or with AI, or you're not going to be in business. So I think it really comes down to just focusing in on, like John said with the prompts. But AI is so much more than just putting a prompt in and getting a response. It's also, I think there's language models that they're developing that will actually remember everything that you've put into it. So it's like, it kind of goes further than just even a prompt. It's really how can we be training our AIs right now to understand what our audience wants.
Can
Because
I say something real quick? Sure. Because it's like mind blowing, right? So like in ChatGPT, I've been using the same login for like a year now. It freaking knows me.
Yep.
I mean, it knows my business. It knows all the shit I said a year ago, and it's pulling that stuff to recreate new stuff. So you're 100% right. It's crazy.
It's huge, right? And that's why the sooner you get on those AI platforms and start training it, asking the questions, the sooner it'll understand on where you're at and how it can benefit you. Like Opus Clips is great. It gives you the ranking. At least for me, it hasn't always been great. Like some of the clips, like
Some suck.
I still have to go in, and yeah, some of them are like, well, why would it cut right there?
Yeah.
So there's still little tweaks and stuff, but I think the more you use it, the better it'll get.
Yeah, AI doesn't remove the need for human discretion, for sure. Yeah, so like using it to the best of your ability and then just like using your best judgment, I think is helpful.
Are you using AI like on a daily basis? Kelsey?
Yeah, I am. And I think speaking about AI and speaking about likes and speaking about like all of these things, right? I think that it's just really important to think of the human element behind things. So kind of going back to the how do you get over the fact that you only had 1 like or 5 likes? That is 5 people that are like, yeah, you go. How cool is that? Like if you were in real life and you were running on the treadmill or like whatever it is, or if you cooked a meal for your family and there were 5 people that were like, yeah, that would be amazing. And so like really starting to think about these people as real humans, not just a number of the likes, is going to help. And I've gotten business from, I posted something a while back that got 11 likes and I got a listing from it. So it really doesn't matter. And when it comes to AI, I leverage it all the time, but I do think it's still important to bring that human element back to it and make sure that we are still us on Instagram, or whatever your social media platform is.
Awesome. I love that. That's such a good way to look at it. Just turn the way to look at it. Do you have a question?
I do have a question. So it might be a personal question. If you don't want to answer it, totally understand. But I know that people will look at your followers and see so much notoriety in that, right? So how many of you have actually paid for followers? Are all of your followers organic? They're all organic. Okay, I will never.
I paid for followers on Instagram when I first started.
Okay.
It was a train wreck. Don't do it. It's
I don't
horrible.
want it.
Yeah.
I think, the followers that I have, I feel like they followed me organically and I would rather have that, but I know that people look and they're like, oh my gosh, she's got 75,000 followers, like she must be
Everyone knows
whatever.
it's
Like
Yeah, it takes years to like clean that mess up.
Yeah.
Right? It's just not worth it.
You could have the opposite too in real estate, right? Like because you get to a certain point, or you could get to a certain point where you have so many followers that like people don't see that the same way. People are like, oh, they must be so busy.
Okay.
They're not going to take my $250,000 condo.
I've
So
never wanted to do it just because I don't see
Right.
the benefit other than like, oh, you look so verified,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah,
I don't.
it's a valid question for sure.
It's a great question, and the other thing on it is in real estate in general. Like I feel like real estate is really like huge in terms of like people buying followers. Like I see a lot of agents out there buying followers,
Yeah.
but everyone knows they're fake. So like really, what are you accomplishing? Like I think you're really just, you're portraying an image, but then your content necessarily isn't being distributed to the correct people. And I think that's probably what John may have
It takes
ran into.
forever to
that-
freaking unwind it.
Yeah,
Forever.
and people know too, so it's like,
How do they know though? Because like I can go into people's, I know you could, like I used to be able to go in and you would see.
if you have 75,000 followers and you get 2 likes on a picture, you can buy followers. If you get 100 views, 200
But she
views
just
on a
said
video,
she'll go in and she'll post. She's got, I don't know how many, I looked you up a little bit ago. You have a ton of followers. You all do. But if you're getting 2 posts like that, is that
if you have
valid?
75,000 followers and you're only
Likes.
getting 2 likes, I think most people would look at that and say, that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even,
Yeah.
and I will just say, it doesn't even matter who knows. It does because like that is signaling to your audience something. It signals that you care more about your inflated numbers than your relationship with them. So that's why it matters. But it doesn't even matter so much when people can see, because of what John said, it screws up your algorithm. It skews who you're attracting because Instagram sees that you have all of these fake accounts based out of like India or whatever, and they're like, oh, let's send more of their content to people. Like literally, that's how the algorithm works. It works off of recency, so how often you're interacting with people and who you're interacting with, and it also works off of like interest and people's location. And so that's why it really matters. And so like, yes, there is the element of like you're showing your whole ass when you're buying followers these days, you know, especially like in 2025. But even more to the point, it's going to skew everything. So that's why it matters.
And I think that not every post performs well, right? So like just
I've noticed even recently, the last year or two,
Yes.
it's just like really, really challenging.
Yeah, and I have doubled my followers in the last year, and I feel like I get the same amount of likes and stuff that I used to. So just kind of keep that in mind. But to echo what you said, like if they have 75,000 followers and they have 2 likes, everybody knows.
How do you organically grow your followers? Like, I can't even get my own mom to like my
So
get my husband to like my
Are you going to put out like, okay, friends, I'll send you a $5 gift card if you just follow my business page?
I think how I started is I followed everybody I knew. I followed like the person I hadn't talked to in 15 years that I hadn't seen since elementary school, and like those people have bought and sold houses with me. So I followed every single person I knew. I had zero shame about it. And in terms of growing beyond that, right? Like, so that's kind of just growing with the people that you know. And I think it kind of goes back to, you know, the real estate agent who has to call every single person in their phone book and say, hi, I'm a realtor. I think to grow a social media following with people that you know who are more likely to use you than strangers, probably, I think that you kind of have to go back to that old method of like, hey, DM, I just made this business page, or keep it your personal and just switch your personal to a business page because you already have people on your personal page who know, like, and trust you. So you might as well market to them.
Or like the idea that, was it you that said you have like, or what have you said, you have a private section for friends and family, so you post?
Stephanie said that.
Yeah, you can create a close friends list. I think maybe that's only stories.
I think so.
I think that's only stories, which is fine because like I don't, you know, whatever. But yeah, that's Stephanie.
I think for me to answer your question on that, like growing, like organic growth, I would ask you, is your content grabbing attention? Like what are those people? How are those people leaving your content? And is it valuable and entertaining? Because you may be falling into one of those, you know, one of those categories. So just figuring out like, hey, how are you grabbing attention? How are you able to deliver and execute on the value prop? And then how do you deliver and execute on the entertainment? And then figuring out, hey, you know, out of these people, let's say it gets 500 views, out of those people, maybe go in and DM some of them and get some real honest feedback, right? Like the DM shouldn't be like, hey, you know, what are your thoughts? Like, shoot them straight. Like, hey, honestly, like I'm really focused on growth. You won't hurt my feelings. Like, I want to have an open conversation and understand like really where people, because your perception of your content is probably different than other people's.
Well, first of all, I hate doing it, and so that makes it hard. I think I'm more like you, John. I'm old and I just really don't care what y'all think, but
Yeah, use that. Like,
Yeah, use that.
for those of you that have that mindset, like, then show it. Like, you can say, oh, you don't care about it. John can say that, but like, you gotta go and, you know, out front of my home group here, go shoot a video and post it there.
And I do care, obviously, because I'm out there doing it, but in my mind, really what I'm thinking is, oh, this is just not for me.
Stephanie, you say you make one appointment in a week, like a day from the social media. How did you get those people engaged with you and make appointments to set the appointments?
10-10-5, just engaging with them. So again, like sending 10 DMs across the stories every day, 10 comments on the feed, and then reaching out to 5 new people a day. And when I'm reaching out to 5 new people, that's a really important way how we also grow organically for 2 reasons. I'm not sending cold DMs like, hey, I'm a real estate agent, follow me. I'm more so like a really good example is this local, they're local here, they put together these party favor charcuterie trays. So like if you're hosting a party, you can get that, it's a little not like catering, but they come in and they give you like 50 charcuterie trays to give to. And I was like, that is the coolest thing ever. And if we ever had a client appreciation event, I would totally want to hire someone like that because I think that that's really cool. So I literally just reached out to them and I sent them a cold DM. But I said, hey, I'm a real estate agent, just saw your new charcuterie board business. That is so cool, and I could totally see an application for that. You know, I'm happy to follow and like cheering you guys on. So just something like that. And then obviously they're going to hear that and think, oh heck yeah, I'm going to follow her. Maybe she'll do business with me. But then what happens is as they continue to grow and they have their friends and family interact with their page, they're more likely to see my name suggested as someone to follow when they're getting followers too. Because Instagram does that. When you follow someone, it says, oh, you follow this person, what about these people too? The more you're interacting with people locally in your space, the more likely you are to naturally just like attract people. And that's, Instagram is very incentivized to help you do that. They want to help you grow organically because the more you're growing, the more you're going to be addicted to their app and the more ads they can sell you. So just assume that they want to help you do this. You just have to figure out the little levers to pull.
Yeah, I think if there's one huge takeaway from this entire morning, it's that direct communication, not just the likes, the comments, the fire emoji, or whatever it is. It's that extra step that I think a lot of us haven't been taking.
Yeah.
So we are close on time, and everyone's going to stay after, you know, we wrap up. If you guys have extra questions and stuff like that, then of course we have lunch. We are having an event, an AI event, here in this office in a couple of weeks, and so I'll write the name of our calendar if you're not from my home group, so you have access to it because obviously it's relevant. So I just want to end, and we'll start with John here on the end. Takeaway tip, okay? Everyone wants to get started. It's 2025. Where do they start? What is the one thing you want them to do today when they leave?
You know what? I'll go back to AI, right? I really think learn that inside and out and be on top of it, and that will help you go across any platform. Obviously, authenticity is huge, right? But AI is just going to make it all better. And the problem is, like, no matter how authentic you are, it's just way better at a lot of stuff. So if you're not utilizing that tool, your authenticity is going to get lost because there's going to be authentic people that are using AI. So no matter what platform you want to hop into, I think that's the biggest thing. And then for me, like, I just approach it differently, right? So I built community as far as providing value to the community. So like if you've got our Facebook groups or YouTube or whatever, it's not about me at all, right? It's about what's the best Italian restaurant, who's the best mechanic, who's, you know, it's value to the community, and that just comes back to you 1,000-fold.
Yeah, to add on to that, I think one actionable step I'll give you guys is instead of using Google for the next thing you want to search, don't use Google, go to ChatGPT and just start to plug in those questions organically over time. It'll definitely help train that system, that model. The other thing I would say is probably just really focusing in on the quality of the content. I know there's different thoughts on it, but not in terms of production value, but just think of different ways. There's a really good book that I suggest everyone read that Mr. Beast wrote on YouTube called the YouTube Formula. He talks a lot about the mindset and the science behind it. So I would start there, read that book. Mr. Beast, probably one of the most followed people out there.
It worked pretty well for him. Right?
Yeah. So and he's got a lot of really good insights on like the science behind the viewer and the audience and the cameras and you know, your scripting and your documenting process, how to do it effectively.
It's a question. What to do today?
Yeah, if they leave today, what is just the number one thing you recommend they do?
Go follow all of your people. Go look at all of your past clients over however long you can go back, and just go follow them on Instagram and send them a DM. Hey, so happy to connect with you here. Not sure what I'm doing, but hope you're well. Just call it out if you feel awkward. If you feel awkward, or if you're not sure exactly what Instagram is going to look like for you, you can call that out. It's just say, hey, happy to connect with you here. Hope you're well. See if they follow you back. Like that.
I think the biggest thing and the most important thing to take away is motivation, right? Because so many people, myself included, we go and we talk about things and we write a bunch of notes, and that's kind of the end of it, right? And so I challenge you, when you are spending, maybe it's weeks, maybe it's months, posting on Instagram and you feel like it's not working, when you get the person that you haven't talked to in 15 years reach out to you, I challenge you, is that an Instagram lead or is that an SOI? If you haven't talked to them in 15 years, I would say it's Instagram, so maybe Instagram or whatever the social media platform is working. And if you feel like you're lacking motivation, stick with it, and like, it can change your life, seriously.
All right. Well, thank you all for coming. Like I said, we have lunch being served. We have a gift machine in there, so when you guys are posting on your stories now, which you're going to do all the time, you can create gifts that you want to make that you can attach on, and it's all free, it's all included. And like I said, our calendar is mhgcalendar.com. So our classes are open to everybody, as you see, but we are having an AI class if that is something you want to learn more about as well. So thank you all for coming. I think if you guys want to hang out, if you guys want to ask some questions, they're going to hang out and chit chat with you. So feel free.
Can I interject it for 1 second, guys? I know, sorry, this is so good. I have one last sponsor, and she deserves to see attention. So, yeah, you guys get no lunch if you don't listen to Jenny. I'm just kidding. Thank you, Jenny, and thank you guys. Just a few minutes. All right, so I'm just gonna cut to the chase. You guys get it, you guys that know me. So my name is Jenny, and I do a couple of things. A lot of you know me and follow me on social media.